Alright guys, welcome. We are going to talk about word problems today. And so we are going to this page right here using equations to solve word problems. And basically we're just going to read the problem and create equations out of these problems based on the words. So keep in mind, we are literally just going to follow what the words say and we're going to write them in a mathematical form. So it says the product means multiply, the product of 7 and a number. Now since it says a number, this means an unknown number, right? So when we have an unknown number, we can use a variable. A lot of times we use x. You can use whatever variable you want, but x just seems to be the popular one. So the product of 7 and a number. So product meaning multiply, 7 and a number x, those are going to be multiplied. Increased by 3. What do you think it means by saying increased? Well, increased means we're going to add 3 is equal. It says right there is equal. So I'm going to put an equal sign right here. To twice meaning 2 times the number. The same number, x, subtracted from 39. So I should have put this subtracted from 39. So 39 minus 2x, because it's subtracting from 39. You're starting with 39 and you're subtracting 2 times the number. So if I were to rewrite this so it looks a little bit better, it would look like this. And then we just solve it. We're going to try to find out what this mystery number is. So we're going to add 2x. And 7x plus 2x is 9x plus 3 equals 39. We created a 0 pair here, so those cancel each other out. Subtract 3. 9x equals 36. Divide both sides by 9 and you get x equals 4. So the mystery number is 4. Now I want to plug that back in just to make sure that that works, because I'm not necessarily going to just trust everything. So I plug 4 back in and I get 7 times 4 plus 3. 7 times 4 is 28 plus 3 is 31. Then 39 minus 2 times 4. It's not very easy to write with. 39 minus 8 is also 31. So these are the same, and I checked my answer. Alright, as you can see, I kind of messed up before, but I erased it. So number 2, 5 less. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm just reading. Be careful with these less than, because that means that the 5 comes second. So 5 less than twice a number. So we've got 2 times the number less 5 is equal to 1/2 the difference of 3 times the number and 13. And we're talking about the difference. What is the difference? That's subtraction. So do you guys see I'm literally just writing what the words are telling me down to write in number form. So when I multiply this out, I get 2x minus 5 equals 3/2 x minus 13 over 2. Now, here's where your fractions come in. Now I'm going to go ahead and clear my fractions because I really don't like to work with fractions unless they're super easy. So I'm going to multiply everything by 2. And when I say multiply everything by 2, there is a clearing fractions video on the modules. But I just literally multiply everything in this equation by 2. So 2 times 2x minus 2 times 5 equals 3/2 x times 2 minus 13 over 2 times 2. I've literally multiplied everything in, and that looks way more complicated, but in the end it's not going to be, because 2 times 2 is 4x, minus 2 times 5 is 10. Now, look at, I can divide, I get 2 in the denominator, 2 in the numerator. So when I divide those, I'm going to get basically 3. Or if you want to do it where you multiply 2 times 3 is 6, divided by 2 is 3x. Same here, minus, you can say these cancel each other out, or you can say 13 times 2 is 26, divided by 2 is 13. You always end up getting the numerator when you multiply by the denominator. But now I've got whole numbers that I can now just say, okay, subtract 3x, and I'm going to be left with x minus 10 equals negative 13. And then I add 10 to the other side, and I get negative 3. Now again, I'm going to make sure that that negative 3 works in that equation. So if I come up here and check my answer, negative 3 times 2 is negative 6, minus 5 is negative 11. Does that equal negative 3 times 3 is negative 9, minus 13, that's going to be negative 22. Negative 22 divided by 2 is negative 11. All right? You can't do those in your head. Just put it in your calculator. It's fine. You're checking your answer. All right. One number is 9 more than twice another number. So one number, I'm going to call that x. X is 9 more, so 9 plus, than twice another number, 2y. Okay, because we don't have, it's two different numbers. So I have to put x in for one and a different variable in for another, so let's just use y. And then it says the sum of the numbers is 129. What does that mean? Well, that means that x plus y equals 129. All right? Find both numbers. Well, here's what I want to show you. This is really actually pretty cool. X is the same as 9 plus 2y. So here I'm thinking, well, if I have the same variable in an equation, I can't solve an equation that has two different variables in it. But if I have the same variable, that's what you want, the same variable in the equation, then you can solve it. Well, if I know that x is the same as this, I can just put that in for x instead. So wherever this x is, I'm going to plug that in because they have the same value. Do you see that? So I'm going to put 9 plus 2y in for my x, and then that plus y equals 129. Well, now look, I can combine these terms. I can combine 2y and y. So I would get 9 plus 3y. 2 y's plus 1 more y is going to give me 3 y's equals 129. Subtract 9 from both sides. 3y equals 120. And y divided by 3, or 120 divided by 3, is going to give me 40. Well, now I know the y. I still don't know the x. I've only figured out one of the numbers. So I can now say, well, I know that x is the same as 9 plus 2y. So I can just plug that in. Y is the same as 9 plus 2. And now I know that my y is 40. 2 times 40. You're just substituting things in that are the same. They're equal to each other. So x equals 9 plus 80, x equals 89. All right, now the big question is, so I've got my y equals 40, my x equals 89, but the big question is, does 89 plus 40 equal 129? And you can add them together and you will find out. You betcha. Check. So we've checked that answer. All right, Kara's golf score was 1 less than 3/4 of Greg's golf score. So Kara's golf score was 1 less, minus 1, than 3/4 times Greg's. That looks like the G is in the denominator, but it's really in the numerator. It's in the numerator. Okay. If the sum of their scores was 153, find Kara's golf score. So we know that Kara's golf score equals 3/4 of Greg's minus 1. And we know that Kara plus Greg equals 153. So this is just like this one over here. So maybe try and stop and see if you can solve this one by yourself before I go on, and check and make sure that you're figuring this out. All right. So what I'm going to do is I know that Kara's score is the same as this, so I'm just going to plug that in for that K. All right. So let's see what that does. So I get 3/4 of G plus, or I'm sorry, minus 1. That's a minus 1. Because that's Kara's score. Plus Greg's score is going to equal 153. Now we just need to figure this out. So I can combine my like terms. These two are alike terms. Now keep in mind that G, this is the same as 4G over 1 over 4. Right? That's the same. 4 divided by 4 is 1G. Sounds like I'm talking computers. So I can change this to 3/4 G minus 1 plus 4 over 4 equals 153. Now I've got the same denominator, so then I can add them. Now, you guys might be saying, Ms. LaBelle, why didn't you just multiply everything by 4 and get rid of that denominator? You absolutely can do that. I have no problem with that. That is perfectly fine, and maybe we will, because this is going to get messy, right? So when I add these together, I'm going to get 7 over 4G minus 1 equals 153. Okay? Part of the reason why I haven't done that yet is because this isn't that complicated. I'm going to kind of wait. 7 4G equals, I'm adding 1 to both sides, 154. And now I can multiply both sides by 4 and then divide both sides by 7, or multiply by the reciprocal. Multiply both sides by 4, right? And then divide both sides by 7. And I'm going to do that all in one step by multiplying by the reciprocal. I get 1 here, so G equals, and 54 times 4/7, if you put in your calculator or figure it out, or just do it long ways, is going to give you, who knows? Well, 7 goes into 15 twice. You get 1 remainder. 7 goes into 14 twice times 4. And I'm going to get G equals 88. So Greg's golf score is 88. Now, so I know Greg is 88. What about Kara's golf score? Well, Kara's golf score was 3/4 of Greg's minus 1. Or we also know that it was added to 153. So you can just take 153, subtract it, and figure it out. But I'm going to check my answer that way. So I'm just going to say, all right, Kara's score equals 3/4 times 88 minus 1. And I'm going to get 66 minus 1. So Kara's got a pretty dang good golf score right there. And you could have said Kara's plus 88 equals 153. But does 65 plus 88 equal 153? 153? Yes, this is 153. I don't know if y'all golf, but that's a pretty good score. All right, moving on. Then we've got a rectangle is 1 more than 4 times its width. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. Draw a picture. It makes it so much easier. So the length of a rectangle is 1 more, so 1 plus 4 times the width. So the width is just the width. If the perimeter of the rectangle is 62 meters, find the dimensions. Well, in order to solve this, you need to know that 2 times W plus 2 times the length equals the perimeter. You need to know the formula for perimeter. To the width, to the length is the perimeter. So you're just adding up all the sides. So now I can just plug these in. So I've got 2W, right? Plus 2 times 1 plus 4W. I'm substituting in this for the length. And that is actually going to equal 62, because they tell us right here that the perimeter is 62. So now I can go ahead and work the math magic. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 8W equals 62. Now I'm going to combine my like terms and get 10W plus 2 equals 62. Subtract 2 from both sides. And I'm going to get W equals, when I divide both sides by 10, I'm going to get W equals 6. So once again, I know what my width is. That's 6 right here. But what's the length? Well, I have to plug it back in. So I'm going to say, okay, the length is the same as 1 plus 4W. Well, I know that my width is 6. So when I work that out, 1 plus 24 is going to give me 25. So my length here is 25. And if you want to check your answer, you would say, all right, 2 times W is 12, plus 2 times 25 is 50. 12 plus 50 is 62. So, boom. All right, moving on. The length of a base of a trapezoid. Okay, so if you don't know what a trapezoid is, it looks like this. The length of one base of a trapezoid is 19 less, so minus 19, than 5 times x. So if this one's x, this one's going to be 5x minus 19. And it's telling you that the height, if the trapezoid has a height of 18 feet, and an area of 477, find the length. Okay, so in order to know this, you need to know the formula for the area of a trapezoid. Luckily, I know that. 1/2 height base 1 plus base 2. All right, this you're going to be learning in geometry. This is a huge window into what you're going to be learning in geometry. So now I just have to plug in everything. If this is my base 1, this is my base 2, this is my height. Now I just plug everything in. So it tells me that my area is 477 equals 1/2. H is the height of 18. My first base is x. My second base is 5x minus 19. All right, so now I'm going to multiply all this together. If my height is divisible by 2, I like to just multiply those out and get 9, and then combine my like terms, 6x minus 19. Now I'm going to have to distribute that 9, or I could divide by 9. You could divide by 9 right here. Let's do that. No, let's distribute. That's how I'm teaching you, so let's go for it that way. This is going to be 54x minus 9 times 19. I don't know if I know that off the top of my head. So 9 times 19, 171. And then that minus 477 minus 171 is going to give me 306. And then 306 divided by 54. I think I did something wrong. I don't think that that's right. 477, I think I screwed that up. 477 plus 171, that's what I did wrong. This is plus, because I'm adding to both sides. Oops. Trying to go too fast. So when I add that, I'm going to get 648, and then 648 divided by 54 is going to give me x equals 12. So that's telling me that this base is 12, but what is the other base? Well, I've got to figure that out. So I plug the 12 in to this, because I know base 2 is the same as 5 times 12 minus 19. So I'm going to get 5 times 12 is 60 minus 19. And so that is going to be 41. So base 2 is 41, base 1 equals 12. All right? Okay, so for your homework, you are going to work these back problems, 7 through 12. But before you do that, I just want to give you a little bit of help. So number 7 talks about angles are complementary. That means that they form a 90-degree angle. So that's talking about two angles. So if you have one angle here and one angle here, when you add them up, they're going to equal 90 degrees. Okay? So what this is telling you is once you create your equations, you're going to have one angle here, and they're going to equal 90 degrees. The measure of a vertex angle of an isosceles triangle. So, an isosceles triangle is so awesome. These two sides are the same, which means these two angles are also the same. And it's asking you to find the vertex angle. This right here is your vertex angle, okay? So there's two things you need to understand. Is number 1, the measure of a triangle is always 180 degrees. All right? So all 3 of these angles should equal 180 degrees. And 2, these 2 base angles will be the same. So if this one's x, this one will also be x. Okay? This one may not be the same. In fact, it can't be the same. And I mean, in one situation it can be if it says 60, 60, 60, but this time it's not, because it's 6 less than 4 times the measure of the base angle. So just keep in mind that these base angles, there's 3 angles. So consecutive numbers, consecutive integers. The way you do this is you say, if I'm looking for 4 consecutive integers, one is going to be x, one is going to be x plus 1, one is going to be x plus 2, and one is going to be x plus 3. Then we're going to get 4 numbers in order. Consecutive means one right after each other. So 1, 2, 3, 4, those would be consecutive numbers. Now this says consecutive odd numbers. So you need to actually add 2. So you'd have x, x plus 2, x plus 4. Alright, so do those problems, then flip this over and do this page. This is also your homework. So it's really only, 6 problems plus 5, so 11 total problems. All right, guys, that's it.